is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right? So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at the University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Oregon is headed to the Super Regional. Big Ten champions, your Oregon Ducks.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck athletics.
Duck Insider here in the Country Financial Studio on a Friday. Thanks for everybody joining us here as we wrap up your week of Oregon athletics and prepare you for the weekend of what's going on in Oregon athletics here in the 1 o'clock hour. Coinciding, just getting underway, first serve, probably now. Maybe even right now, at the Student Tennis Center, Oregon women's tennis going up against Seattle. If you're at home listening to this right now live in the 1 o'clock hour and you're within, 10, 15 minutes of the Student Tennis Center, go, leave, turn me off, keep me on in the car, go to Student Tennis Center, go support the Oregon women as they face off against Seattle in Oregon women's tennis. We'll try to get some updates throughout the 1 o'clock hour. Not sure when those results will come through. We'll update you whenever we become aware of any results that may occur over the next hour over at the Student Tennis Center. Also coming up today, later tonight, Oregon women's basketball facing off against Indiana at Matthew Knight Arena. Another big-time opportunity for Oregon on the women's basketball side of things against a top 40 team in the net yet again. That's this stretch for Oregon women's basketball. Iowa was a top 40 team in the net. Indiana's a top 40 team in the net. The next two road games against the Michigan schools, top 40 in the net. The next two home games against Maryland and UCLA, not only are they top 40 in the net, but they're also top 10. This is going to be a gauntlet of a stretch coming up for Oregon women's basketball. You have to get wins whenever the opportunity presents themselves. Oregon did a really strong job in a battle against Iowa in which the Ducks were down 15 early of battling back and getting what is going to prove to be, at least in my opinion, a really critical Big Ten Conference win against the Hawkeyes on Sunday earlier in the week. Now Oregon, a similar opportunity against a similar quality of opponent, going up against the Indiana Hoosiers tonight at 6 o'clock, 5:30 pregame with Chris Clayton, Bev Smith on the Oregon Sports Network. Ducks against Hoosiers at MKA, and another opportunity for Oregon to continue to keep pace in the Big Ten. Through the first half of conference play for Oregon, the Ducks went 5-3, a chance to close out what is going to be the 9th out of 18 conference games for the Ducks. 6-3 through the first half. Feels better than 5-4 through the first half. That's what's going to go down on the line tonight at Matthew Knight Arena. Be there at MKA. Also some giveaways, some Stomp Out Cancer socks will be on the docket for the first few fans that are able to get in to Matthew Knight Arena. Should be a great time at MKA. Kelly Graves, earlier in the week, he reviewed that matchup against Iowa, sort of what went down, what happened, what the aftermath of that was for his team as they now go to prepare against this Indiana squad coming into Matthew Knight Arena tonight. Coach Kelly Graves talking with the media, previewing what is going to be this stretch of Big Ten play and mostly focusing on this game against Indiana. The thoughts from Coach KG.
What did the film tell you about last game here, and how does that prepare you for Friday?
We were just a half a step slow, I think, early. I think we tried to do the right things. We just weren't quite there. And yeah, a few more breakdowns defensively than we certainly had in the second half and that we typically have. It was just, I don't know. It was, I think, really the first game in conference play where we didn't get a good start. You know, we've, I think, been ahead or in all but one game in conference play at the end of the first quarter. And it was just, it was a tough one, but we figured it out and really put the clamps down defensively, and that made the difference.
I wanted to ask you more about that progress you guys have made there on that side of the court? I know Jaros will get credit because that's kind of her side of the ball, but I'm sure the players too. Just kind of, can you paint the picture for? And this is a top 5, I think, defense in the Big Ten. It's a really good defensive conference. Can you set the stage for what's kind of led to some improvement there?
Well, a little bit by necessity.
Sure.
Because we're not exactly, scoring a ton. So you kind of do with what you have. We have good depth, and so you're able to, I think, put more pressure on people. We, like in years past, we just didn't have the depth, so you didn't want to tire your players out by playing, 3/4 court like we do now. And I think it's just an emphasis. I'm paying more attention to it. Obviously, Jaros has really helped. But if I'm paying attention to it, then they know that it's important. Not that I turned my back when we used to defend, but it's just I think it's kind of evolved. I don't think we went in. I do remember talking to the team early. Last year, there were no Big Ten teams in the top 50 in country in defensive efficiency, not one. And so we did talk about, hey, to be able to set ourselves apart, this could be an emphasis. I think Ohio State was the only one in the top 60. However, 7 of the top 20 teams were 7 of the top 20 in offensive efficiency were Big Ten teams. So, I guess we had it in the back of our minds, but I didn't envision we would kind of create the kind of turnovers and things like that we have this year.
Indiana on Friday.
Yeah.
I know one of those players very well, but what have you seen out of the Hoosiers this season?
Well, they're a great shooting team. Indiana, they're, I think right now, top to bottom, they might be the best shooting team in the conference. I think they're about 37% from the 3 in conference games, 80% from the line, and maybe 46 overall. So and they can use, they spread you out. Now, Sydney Parrish is playing the 4 for them, and so we all know that she can really shoot the ball. And so you just, they have 5 or 6 different players that can score 20 on any given night. They're really hard to guard, so we're going to have to be on point defensively, or they could be difficult to stop.
This is your only Friday game of the season. What's it been like? You were so used to that in the Pac-12, Friday, Sunday, Friday. What's it been like kind of having a different schedule this year?
It's been different. Yeah, just, that Friday, Sunday, we had a great rhythm. We could take, we'd have the same day off every week. You could stay in the same hotel. There was less travel. But it's been okay. Actually, the more I've gotten into it, the more I kind of like the extra day to prepare. Then you don't have to trick your kids early in the week by working on some stuff for the second game of the weekend and not tell them, right? You can just really spend a lot more time and focusing on the next game, which I think has actually helped our defense. We have really smart players. We have veteran players that really have locked in on our defensive game plan. And one of our biggest strengths defensively, we are taking out the star player. Lucy Olson had 4. Sarah Williams had 2. We only play them once, so I have to worry. But the center at Illinois, same thing. We've been doing a great job of taking away their best player, their number 1 option.
The other thing, too, is I know Iowa's completely different from years previous, but they've traditionally pushed the pace, wanted as many possessions as possible. Ohio State is kind of the same way. What's helped you guys slow those teams down, not just the scoring, but also their pace and playing to your pace?
Yeah, our transition defense has been really good. It's been a focus. Now, unfortunately, at the expense of our offensive rebounding, we're only sending 2 people to the glass offensively. We've decided to kind of take the NBA model and limit people in transition. So that's really helped our defense, number 1. I think number 2, we ourselves, we don't turn the ball over much. We have long possessions offensively, so we can dictate tempo that way. I think our defense has been so solid, we're stretching out other teams' offensive possessions. I mean, how many times have we had 30-second shot clock violations this year? A ton, more than any team I've ever been around. So, we're shortening the game that way. And I think it's just good, sound, solid offense and solid defense.
It's a departure from teams that you'd coached previously. What's kind of been your appreciation for playing a different style and having success playing that way?
You do with what you got. And I think this just gives us the best chance to win. I mean, it's really funny. People talk about Pat Riley, Showtime, L.A. Well, he goes to New York. And it was beat 'em up ball, bully ball, slow it down. I think you just have to adjust to the kind of team that you have, and I think we're doing that.
And what does it say too about the players as well, kind of buying into that vision and wanting to select? It's not the flashiest version of basketball, but them buying into that.
Think 50 to 49? Woo!
but them buying into that and seeing the results on the court and wins.
It's really funny. I mean, everybody knows offense is fun. You get up and down, you shoot quick, you do all that. That's fun. But actually, really good defense can be fun too. And especially defenses where all five have to be working together. If there's a weak link, it really kills you. And I think and our team has kind of gotten into that. I think they enjoy that. I think they like diving into a game plan. And I've got to give credit to my staff. They've just done an amazing job in preparing the team for our next opponent. We have two coaches that do the majority of the scouting, Lisa O'Meara and Jody Berry. They split, they each take one game, and they've done that the whole year. We used to have all the coaches share in it, and we've just stuck with two, and I think it really helps. We all watch, we all help develop the game plan, but they're the ones doing the nitty-gritty, and that's important. They've done an amazing job.
What else can you say about what Jairus has meant for the defense specifically?
Well, she has taken ownership of it, so that I love that. She has the personality. If you've been around our practice, or our games, every once in a while I have to grab her, sit down, but she just is into it. And I think the team, feeds off that. They love her energy, and, she's upbeat every single day, and they've bought into it. Yeah, and she can get on them, but it's different when she does it and I do it, And I'm happy for that. She's really added a ton to our culture. You're going to talk to her, right? Okay.
Your office complex is a little emptier this week with Matt Ulmer going to Kansas. He was introduced yesterday in Lawrence and said he wasn't really looking to leave, but the opportunity for him and his family to be closer to other family was too hard to pass up. I know he was a big supporter of the women's squad here. Just any thoughts on Matt his time
I love
here?
Matt. He's been one of my favorite coaches here, and certainly a good friend. I mean, we've been here together for a long time. Disappointed to see him go. Sad, I should say, not necessarily disappointed, but I'm really happy for him. I always, feel good for people when they can better their own situation, and he just felt like that was going to be a little bit better for him. But what he's done here at Oregon, I mean, look at all their success up here on the board. It's amazing, and I know, and that we're going to hire somebody really good that's going to come in and kind of keep the program where it's been and maybe even get better. But I know that Matt's going to go to Kansas, and that's going to be a different program. They're going to get better in a hurry.
Brought up before the Purdue game, this being a big stretch for you guys, 2 games through it. How have you felt about how they've come out in those first 2 games, not looking forward to road trip at Michigan next week and UCLA on the horizon, all that?
I think, again, we have an experienced team, veteran team, and I think they get it. We haven't looked ahead. They've done a nice job of just playing the next game, and we got to do it. We have one more here at home, and if we can get that, we will have won 6 out of our last 7, and we've taken care of business at home for the most part. I think we're 12-1 right now. That's what you got to do. And then we've split both road trips. If we continue to do that, we're going to be in pretty good shape. But it's a tall order. The meat of our conference now is ahead of us. February is going to be a gauntlet. There's just no question about that. The game, though, Friday against Indiana will mark the halfway point. So it'll be 9 games in, and we got 9 games left. So it'd be awesome to be 6-3 going into that second half conference.
You talk about it being a gauntlet. What are some things, we've talked a lot about the things that have done well, the defense. What are some things maybe offensively, or you mentioned offensive rebounding, or things that you want to see improvements?
Yeah, our biggest weakness right now is we're just not rebounding that well. Now, sometimes the stats are a little misleading because we're turning people over. Like the other night, we gave up a bunch of, we only had 4 offensive rebounds ourselves, but we don't turn the ball over, and we're forcing a ton of turnovers. So we ended up shooting 4 more shots than Iowa, but because we're turning people over, we're not getting the opportunity to get a lot more defensive rebounds. So, you can kind of use stats to fill whatever narrative you want. But yes, we've just got to get better. We only had 4 offensive rebounds, and that's just not enough. Especially when we're shooting 30 and 35 and 40% sometimes from the field. So we've got to do a better job there. I think just offensive fluidity. When we struggle, the ball sticks, and we've just got to keep the ball moving. We're certainly much better when our inside is playing well. When Philly is playing like we've seen Philly do, we're a different team. And we saw that in the second half here. She played well, was a presence inside, and that makes us a lot different. I just think, we're doing a lot of things well. We're not doing really anything great, but we're playing pretty good basketball.
Speaking of Philly, she's played 20-plus minutes in 6 straight games, I think now. What have you seen from her from a conditioning, medical standpoint, and then also just production and expectations as you kind of hit this stretch run?
Well, I have high expectations for Philly, but she is, she's, I think, getting close to 100%. She can certainly go for long stretches that she wasn't being able to do early in the season. But, yeah, when Philly is good, we're a whole different team. And what I've seen is she's becoming a little bit better presence defensively. And which is what we need. We're not a team that gets a lot of blocked shots, but she's one of those that can do it for us. And her rebound numbers are getting a little bit better. She's just playing better. If she continues on this trajectory, I think down the stretch we're going to be pretty good. We're going to be pretty tough to beat because not a lot of people. The Iowa center. I actually heard her. She's too big. She was yelling to either one of her teammates or to her coach. And it's the truth. I mean, she's going to be, 6'8", the whole game. And if she can just get deep position, you're not going to move her. So.
You mentioned about that halfway point in the conference season, just throughout. Can you speak a little bit more at the beginning of the season? You talked about Coach Freeman and just the impact she's had on the defense and the team.
Well, she's been great. She's really helped the culture. By the way, I'm a Dodger fan, so really I kind of take offense. And it's the Beaver colors. Can we work on that a little bit? Jairus has been fantastic. She's been a huge part of our culture change here. Really, I mean, she just comes in with a ton of energy each and every day, and that was sometimes I had to fill that role, like give the energy. Well, I'm 62 years old. My energy's different than young energy that she's been giving us, and I think it's just really helped. And her focus on the defense, her ownership of it, I think has just made an immense addition to the team.
Kelly Graves breaking down the matchup coming up tonight against Indiana and the Hoosiers at 6 o'clock at Matthew Knight Arena. Coach KG talking, brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Better cancer care close to home. The women are at home, just one home game this weekend. The men are on the road, just one road game this weekend for Oregon Hoops. Joey Mackey sat down with assistant coach Lewis Rowe in studio a few days ago. We'll break down their conversation when we return on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain.
Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you on a Friday because Oregon men's basketball, along with Joey Mack, have hit the road on their way to play Minnesota coming up on Saturday for the Duck men, 1 o'clock Pacific time on Big Ten Network. Joey will have pregame on the Oregon Sports Network starting at 12:30. Before they shipped out, actually right after the Washington game, early on Wednesday morning, Joey was able to get into studio with Oregon assistant basketball coach Rowe. It's his first time of the year being in studio. What has he been up to getting fully acclimated to Eugene, as well as where this team is at right now? Part 1 of the conversation between Joey Mack and Oregon men's basketball assistant Rowe.
It is the second time that Coach Rowe has come over to the Country Financial Studio. Coach, thank you for taking the time. I can't thank you enough. I went back and watched the 2-Minute Life Story. So we have the tradition, right? I went back and watched 2-Minute Life Story. And I realized that I have one critical follow-up for you on the 2-Minute Life Story from last time you were on. A year later. And that is, how has the University of Oregon, the Eugene community, and the team been now that you are probably a little bit more settled in? What's the 30-second life update for you?
Oh, man. Well, I can say I hadn't been through a summer when we talked last.
Right.
So that's the most, the thing that I've been most, I really enjoyed this summer. Obviously, we had a great end to the year. Got hot, won the Pac-12, which is an absolute blessing. Had some really good kids that really turned it on, Jermaine and Folly. And so got to see, Coach in Oregon in their element, like, tournament, winning a tournament, making a run, winning a game in the NCAA tournament, and those are things that I had never experienced as a coach. And I went through the ice storm here.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is a life update. That was interesting.
Yeah.
And then making the run in the Pac-12, being able to sit on the bench and see the guys go through that and cut down the net was really cool. And then the experience in the postseason tournament. And then going through a Eugene summer, and actually, I got out a little more.
Good.
And I've met some more people because I was really sequestered and really locked in.
You were dialed in on the job. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, that too. And but I got to get out more and meet some people and enjoy the Eugene summer, which was beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. That was sun comes up at 6, goes down at 9.
Love it.
Long days, no humidity. So it was nice and a blessing, and I appreciate that opportunity.
That's great. That's great. Well, I'm glad that you brought up that postseason run. I did want to rewind with you a little bit because last time we talked about how you part of why you came to Oregon was to have that experience and learn from Coach Altman, and you've been a head coach yourself. Just can you summarize what that run was like? I mean, as a coach, just going through it, but also some of the takeaways now heading into another season.
Yeah, well, again, one of the huge opportunities of me coming here was to learn, from Coach Altman, but also from the rest of the guys on the staff. These guys have been like, I'm still really, really a newbie. Even with the new guys coming back, I'm still, there's not much. I really am quiet and try to play my position and watch all the guys. But K-Mac, even Scott, Coach Fish, Coach Meniga, but even Coach Stubblefield and Josh coming back.
Yeah.
I just sit back and I'm trying to learn and trying to grow, and I hope that I'm doing that. But so, no, my biggest takeaway was to see the consistency. And, it's a winning program. What's been built here is, it's – and so, there were times when maybe, it was a struggle, but we stayed really consistent, and I just watched the guys and how they approached every day from the top down, from coach on down. And, there was never any wavering and just kept putting in the work. And you see us getting better and better and better and better, and bam, then it clicks, and we make that run. And just being down at Arizona, the game against Arizona, and Foley gets hurt, and it's but I'm looking in guys' eyes, and I'm like, and then even the last game at Colorado was pretty cool. We were down also in that game, and so I really learned about consistency and the consistency of a message and an approach, and so it's pretty cool. And again, that's who they are. That's who we are. So just trying to keep, absorbing and embracing and watching how you approach every day, how you prepare every day, and being really consistent.
On a personal level, did you at any point kind of take in to the NCAA tournament? Like, was that you got to kind of wash that up a little bit? Yeah, for
sure. And to be honest, man, you never know. And that, my family understands this. I understand this. You never know. Yeah. Like, this is college coaching, and it can go as quickly as it came. I've been blessed to be around it 19 years, had never been to an NCAA tournament, had gone as a player, and enjoyed that, and I loved, like, I was on really good teams in Europe. We won championships, so I've been around winning, but as a college coach had never achieved that. And then the experiences and the struggles that I had as a head coach, obviously, you take all that stuff with you. So I really embraced learning in every situation, like all that. Like, I remember going into McHale, and that was a tough game. But I remember going in there and I'm not a guy that doesn't look around and say, you better enjoy this. And I got to be honest with you. I don't want to take up too much time, but as a player, I think I took a lot for granted.
Sure.
Because I wanted to be a good player. Yeah. And I wasn't a good player for most of my high school career. Got okay my senior year. I graduated as a 17-year-old. So I wasn't really highly recruited. Like, I wanted to be good.
Yeah.
And I cared a lot, especially in Europe. I was on really good teams. We were winning championships, but I was in Paris. I was in Israel. I was in Jerusalem. Like I've been everywhere. And I don't have a picture of any of that.
Really?
And no. Yeah. And so because I was – literally our team would be like, we're going to go to the Wailing Wall, or we're going to go to Bethlehem or wherever. And I'd be like, I'm going to stay in the hotel and, watch some film or prepare, get some sleep, because I wanted to be a good player.
Yeah.
And what I'm learning and have learned as I've gotten older and gotten away from playing is you better enjoy and embrace.
Sure.
And again, without being long-winded, I took in all of that. I remember the interview the next day after we beat South Carolina, and you have to be available. And some people from the newspaper here came in and asked me some questions.
Yep.
And whatever the questions were, I wasn't there to talk about. It wasn't my, I played way the background. Yeah. But when they asked me the questions, I told them, like, I've never been to an NCAA tournament as a coach, so nothing else matters to me. I'm taking all of this in, and it's unbelievable. I have a nephew that's a 10th grader. I have a bunch of nephews that play football and basketball, but I have two. One's a 10th grader and one's a 7th grader, and they're pretty good.
Yeah.
And just to be able to even, what I share with them now, it makes me smile. Some of the stuff that they're going through. The 10th grader's really good and has the ball in his hand, but the 7th grader's good, but he's playing on a team where there's another player, and he's struggling with it. And so I had 2 conversations yesterday, even with both my nephews. And so those are the things that you get to do, and it's part of the process.
I mean, I can tell you, my sons are now just over 2 and 7 months old, and so I'm much more aware of what you're describing, right than I was even 2-3 years ago.
Yep.
It starts to hit you. Talking with Louis Rowe. Okay, the season so far, coming off a win. Always good when I get to talk with somebody coming off a win.
Amen.
The season so far. Summarize it for fans. What have you seen from the squad so far?
Well, again, I think there hasn't the best probably we played to me was Vegas. Really good teams, and I think maybe it's a little bit maybe not underappreciated is the word, but those were really good teams, and they were tough teams.
Yeah.
And we really fought. We were really prepared. there were some teams that really rebounded well, were really good defensive teams. We took care of the ball. We ran. We were efficient. Overall, I think we're 16-3. But there have been some games, obviously, where maybe from the outside, people are like, they should have. But to me, it's been a very good year, a building year. And what people don't understand, and what I mean by building, not that we're but what I'm saying is we had a lot of new guys.
Yeah.
You bring guys in from the portal, and I think things have changed. We talked about that a little bit with the bigger conferences, us moving to the Big Ten, and with the portal and bringing the new guys in. And those guys are all really, really good players, but they've had to adjust. And there's been a learning curve. And to be able to go through that learning curve, and this is my humble opinion. Like, I'm not, obviously there's guys, but this is me sitting back. It's just one of the assistant coaches. And what I take away is how we've been able to still win games, be successful. Obviously, we played really good in Vegas. That was cool. I think that's really helped us with our positioning. But it's a really tough league, and we've had to inundate new guys into the system, and they're really good players, and they're continuing to grow and build, and they're starting to. And I think things are a lot here.
Yeah,
we continue to get better, and I'm looking forward to what the rest of the season holds.
That's part one of the conversation between Joey Mack and Oregon men's basketball assistant coach Lewis Rowe. I love getting these Toyota coaches interviews in, especially with the assistants, because you don't get to talk or hear from the assistants very often. It gives a whole new perspective getting to hear from Coach Rowe and his experience being overseas, what he learned from that experience, how he brings it into coaching. Now we switch gears and we focus a lot more on this team and this group and how this Oregon men's basketball squad can continue to improve throughout the stretch run of Big Ten play. That's what's coming up on the other side of this timeout on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you because Toyota's got 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. And that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Based on manufacturer's websites as of 10/20/24.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you because Toyota's got 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. And that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Based on manufacturer's websites as of 10/20/24.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Put your phone on D&D. That means do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, Honey Bear.
Because remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember, back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my heart in Oregon.
Back here inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Before we get to part two of Joey Mack's conversation with Lewis Rowe, some updates on the tennis side of things from the Student Tennis Center. Doubles underway between Oregon and Seattle. None of those double matches have gone final yet, but the Ducks do have the lead in two of them and are drawing in the doubles match number 3, trying to convert those into what could potentially be 3 doubles wins for Oregon at the Student Tennis Center going on right now as we speak. But for now, let's get back to brass tacks, part 2 of the conversation. Toyota coaches interview Joey Mack and Lewis Rowe.
The larger conferences, and I even feel like just college basketball in general is still older, right? Because of all the factors in the world, but it's still an older team that you're playing against, right?
Right. No, and that's the thing. There's so many dynamics are shifting in college athletics in general, but in college basketball, it is with the portal and people trying to figure out all of this stuff. Teams are older, but teams are newer every year, and you look at teams, if I can be, you look at a team like Michigan State or a team like Purdue, they have some guys who've been in the system. Yeah. Longer.
Makes a difference.
It does make a difference. It does make a difference. And obviously it's not we're fine and our guys are growing, but no, it's trying to find a way to coach and develop and build and teach when it's changing a lot.
Yeah.
And I think we've attacked that well. If we, in my humble opinion, is looking back from a distance.
Well, you look at it, it's top 15 team in the country,
Amen.
right? Net rankings. But I was kind of curious, as someone then who has played on different teams, right? You've done that, you've coached, and in this era where guys come in, how do you bring guys into a system? Because it's not like you're starting at the 101 level of basketball with all these guys, right? There's an assumption that they have some skills and some knowledge. How do you go about integrating into a team like that?
Well, again, I'll be very general. I won't be specific about here, but I can take away some of the things that I'm seeing and learning. I think and maybe this is an approach to life. You keep it simple and you still teach. You don't assume anything. There's a lot of fundamentals. There's a lot of basics. There's a lot of, what we say, quote unquote, are the simpler things. Playing off of 2 feet, making extra pass.
Simple plays.
Yes.
Simple plays.
Amen. And if you keep preaching that, no matter who comes in or no matter, those are things I tell my nephews.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm telling them right now, you want to be good in college? I've worked for Coach Altman. Yeah. You can't play for him if you're standing.
Yeah.
You can't play for him if the ball doesn't change size. I'm trying to teach them right now. And again, I have one nephew that's actually pretty good.
Right.
He's not, he'll probably wind up being a top 50-ish player in the country.
Wow.
And he's wired the right way. He's really tough. Wants to be good. I love him. He's got a chance. He's a talent level, who knows, but his build and his makeup is a Coach Altman type of guy.
Yeah.
But I tell him all the time, you're not gonna be if you don't box out, you can't play.
Yep.
Gotta
rebound.
You gotta rebound.
Play defense.
And again, so I think you go back, no matter whether you're talking to a 10th grader, a 7th grader, or a guy who's a portal guy who's a 5th-year guy.
Right.
You teach those things, and I think if you can teach those things, you can build and grow and keep getting better.
Well, and I got to imagine too, you're on the recruiting trail, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna have that conversation, right? Because that's the expectation when they come and play for a program like this, right? It's a relationship business. I
Amen.
guess,
No, it is from the top down. The relationships, even again, we talk about the changing dynamic. The relationships are more important because you're dealing with more people in a kind of a decision-making process.
Yeah.
No, all the relationships top down. And again, you have to be truthful. You have to be honest when you talk about recruiting, and that I like you, but you got to be tough.
Right.
I like you as a player. You're talented, but you got to run to the corner.
Right.
And so no, it or else there's not a good chance to have success if they're going to a place where those things are important. So it's good to talk about those things. When you're on the trail, be honest, and that's where relationships become important, because then you can be honest with people.
Big deal. Lewis Rowe, we're going to talk with Brandon Angel this week and talk about one of those guys that came in to play for this program. What have you seen from Brandon Angel this year?
Again, super consistent. He approaches it like a pro every day. He is unbelievable with his work ethic. A really smart kid, really bright kid. Great to talk to even outside of basketball, because he's really, really smart, and his interests are pretty interesting as well. Like he'll talk to me about watches. He might not bring that up in here,
all
but he's talked to me about watches, which is he has varied interests. He's a really sharp, really bright young man, cares about what is going on here, wants to win, and again, he's a guy who's maybe some of getting into the flow here.
Yeah.
He had to and he's stayed with it, stayed after he had a big game for us last night. And what he brings, honestly, is a lot of versatility. You can post him.
He
shoots
smooth.
it. He's really smooth. He's great. His feel around the basket, pump fakes, up and unders, pivots, and he shoots the ball really well. He's a really versatile, really good player in our system, but also a good kid off the court, which is pretty cool.
Getting ready now for a trip to Minnesota as well. Early look at Minnesota, some keys to success on the road.
Well, I haven't seen as much of him maybe as I've watched him play some games. Haven't dug into like actual scouting.
I should tell everyone we're talking like literally less than 12 hours after the last game just ended.
Yes,
Unfair question.
And it's
by
not
the
my
interviewer.
scout. And it's not my scout. If it was my scout, then I would dig into him a little more. But I've watched him play a few games, and again, it's a Big Ten game on the road.
Right.
So, they've had some people in their building and stuck it to them.
They got Michigan.
Exactly. And obviously coming off of that, they're now really trying, it's a home game. They're going to be up for it. And I think any of these games on the road, we've been really good on the road. Yeah. Part of it is our preparation and the way coach approaches things when we travel. And we want to continue being that and doing that, because if you can win on the road, you're a good team.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's amazing. You look at the record, and the only 3 losses are at home. You don't see that very often, right? I mean, it is strange, but the success on the road is critical, just in general for fans. What are some keys to success for this team? What is the next step for this team?
And again, it's all the stuff Coach talks about. You hear him talk about it a lot. I'm sure the fans hear him talk about it a lot. We have to be a really good rebounding team. Yeah. We have to be efficient offensively. Like sometimes turnovers will creep in. We have a lot of pieces, like a lot of guys that can, like last night it was TJ and BA, but obviously we got Jackson, we have Nate. We have plenty of guys that can do the heavy lifting, but we got to continue to share it, move it, and be efficient offensively. And I do think the one thing that I'll say is we've had our defensive performance against Purdue was even the energy. Like I watched TJ, and he was taking a challenge defensively, and he carried that over to last night. And I know that, I want to say this, and these are my stats in my head. They started out 8 for 16, so maybe we weren't, but to finish the second half, they were 4 for 15 or something like that. Right. And that's how you get back in a game, is being consistent defensively. And I think that's something that Coach preaches. And I think if we can defend and rebound at that level, play with some physicality, play with some pace, and move it and share it, we'll get good shots. We got guys that can make them.
Only 2 turnovers in the second half against Washington.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
Cut that down. Won the rebounding battle by double digits. Formula for success.
Amen. Keep it simple.
That's right. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time. I know the recruiting, scouting, travel, games. Just thanks so much for taking the time.
All a blessing.
Thanks,
you.
Coach. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Keeping it simple. That's what's on the docket for Oregon men's basketball. Big thanks to Louis Rowe for getting into studio, Joey for recording with him on the Toyota Coaches interview this week for men's basketball, as the Ducks will face off against Minnesota at 1 o'clock Pacific time on Saturday. It's a Minnesota team that you look at the net rankings, they don't stack up in the net rankings. They're 104th in the net rankings. However, going on the road in conference play is hard, A. Going on the road to a place you've never been before is hard, B. Minnesota is also a team that has beat some quality opponents in their own gym this season. No game in this conference is a gimme. Does not matter what the net rankings, does not matter what the RPI says. Even though Minnesota is a 10-9 team on the season, this is going to be a battle between Oregon and Minnesota coming up on Saturday. No easy games in conference play. Got to get to a timeout. When we return, Diamond Sports prepping for their seasons. Whole bunch of baseball, softball players have talked throughout the week. We're going to talk to some of them. We'll surprise you when we return on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Back to the Country Financial Studios in 60 seconds. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Ma, is this how you feed a hamster?
I think so.
Is my homework right?
I think so.
Is, this milk still good?
I think so.
When it comes to parenting, sometimes it's okay to think you know. But when it's something as important as your child's car seat, don't just think. Know. Double check if your child is in the right seat for their age and size. It'll help protect them in a car crash. Don't just think. Know by visiting nhtsa.gov/the right seat. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now, so good to see you real.
Back live here in the Country Financial Studio in the 1 o'clock hour. Ryan Milano with you. We just broke down Kelly Graves and his talk with the media as Oregon women's basketball tonight will face off against Indiana at 6 o'clock at Matthew Knight Arena. Talked with Coach Lewis Rowe, the Oregon men's basketball team, as they prepare to face off against Minnesota tomorrow at 1 o'clock Pacific. It will be on Big Ten Plus for the women. It will be on Big Ten Network for the men. And it will be baseball season before we know it at PK Park. Mason Neville, someone who had a torrid stretch towards the back end of his season, someone who did not start to begin the year for Oregon baseball, got into the starting lineup right around the beginning of conference play, and oh boy, did he not look back. 16 home runs in just about half a season for Mason Neville can be a strong year for Mason Neville coming in this season if he can capitalize on that late year momentum. He chatted with the media just a few days ago in preparation of this baseball season, continuing to gear you up for the Diamond Ducks that will be at PK Park this year, chatting with Oregon outfielder Mason Neville.
How's winter ball going for you?
Good, very good. Yeah, just working on the little things, just getting ready for the season. So
you had another a breakout season, kind of how Chase did. Just what went into that first off, and then how are you trying to continue that performance into this upcoming season?
Yeah, just really focusing on the day-to-day, I guess you can say. Just really focusing on getting 1% better and building off of that. Building off of last season, the last half stretch, and just kind of being a leader for those guys this year, taking a new role. And yeah, we're older now, so we have a lot of guys coming back, and so we kind of been through it a little bit, went to a super regional, and so yeah, just building off of that and just looking to get better 1% every day.
You feel like you're kind of stepping in that more leadership role this year as a junior that you are? Yeah,
definitely. Compared to last year for sure. We had a few guys come back, like Grinsel, he's been here a while, Jacob Walsh, Meggers. We have guys like that too that help out for sure. But definitely looking to help in that role a lot more.
What has Waz told you and the team about Big Ten baseball?
Yeah, it's just another conference. I mean, it's a good conference. It's different. We're going across the country now, so we're looking forward to that. But yeah, really just focusing on ourselves, just focusing on our team and what we can do and just getting better. And then I think we'll take care of business that way.
Is there anything you have to do differently as a player to account for that travel, or is it kind of just business as usual?
It's similar to high school, I guess you can say. I mean, just traveling to the East Coast and playing. It might be a little different this year. You never know. But yeah, I mean, I feel like you don't really think about things like that. You're kind of just focused on getting there, getting ready to play, making sure you feel good, and taking care of business. So I don't think it should be too big of a deal.
Metro was such an impact defensively in the outfield. Just how tough or not do you think it'll be to replace him? Obviously, his credentials were great, but I'm sure you guys have some confidence in yourselves too.
Yeah, for sure. Him and Colby Shade the year before him, two very good center fielders. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking to go out there and hopefully keep that legacy going and do the best I can out there. And I have confidence in that, and I have confidence in Coach Waz in developing outfilders. And so I look to have a similar season like that in center field.
What was it like when Bryce came out with the baseball bat at Autzen?
Oh, I mean, that was electric. Yeah, that was pretty sweet. That was cool for him to do that. I don't know if he was supposed to or not, but I mean, we're his boys, so he had to come over and show some love. So it's pretty cool.
What's your excitement level for the lineup this year? Obviously, you guys had a really good one last year. You bring in, guys like Parker Stinson. You return for the second year. Just what's the excitement level like?
Very excited. I think some stats showed it was 8 of our 9 are coming back from that super regional who were starting. So everyone except for Betcher. Yeah, the guys he brought in the portal were big pieces that will help us along the way. And those 8 of 9 are pretty much going to set the tone and, play well. I mean, everyone looked really good in the fall, and I think a lot of guys matured physically. I think we came back and some younger guys got a lot bigger, faster, and stronger, and that maturity of being able to play together for all of last year and then having a whole nother year this year, I think it'll show. I think it'll show early, and then we'll continue to build off of that.
You were picked to the preseason All Big Ten team. Just what did that mean to you? And then how are you going to go about being at the end of the year on the All Big Ten team?
Yeah, it's something to be proud of, I guess you can say, but it's preseason, so still a lot of work to do and a lot of goals that we have for this team this year, and so you kind of you get excited about it for a little bit and then get focused again and kind of get back to business. So
continuing to build as we approach the baseball season that's in 3 weeks and 2 hours at PK Park. That's when we're counting down to first pitch for Oregon baseball. Valentine's Day, 4:05 first pitch against Toledo. Holy Toledo, I cannot wait. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Masonville factoring to be a huge part. I'm sorry for everybody who's going to be listening to the broadcast. I figure that's not going to be the first time I say Holy Toledo this month. Masonville, he's going to be great. He's going to be a big and viable part of this Oregon baseball team as the Ducks continue to try to improve on last season, hoping to make it 3 consecutive super regionals, and a trip to Omaha would be great too. It's what we're building towards. What we're building towards coming up after this timeout. What's going on around the rest of Oregon athletics this weekend, setting you up for what is next on the docket for the Ducks as we enter in to this spring-ish campaign of Oregon athletics. Coming back on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Duck Insider continues from the Country Financial Studios in 1 minute on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Closing out the show here in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. An update from across the river over at the Student Tennis Center. Oregon has taken the doubles point. Ducks got a 6-3 doubles win and a 6-4 doubles win to capture a 2-0 doubles record against Seattle. Takes the doubles point now into singles play. And keep following along. GoDucks.com will have access to the live stats there for Oregon women's tennis against Seattle as they march forward, trying to secure another home victory to start out the season for Oregon women's tennis. Also, earlier today, the schedule for Oregon track and field. It was released earlier in the week, but now we've got the video on the big board at Hayward. Where will you be for Oregon track and field in 2025? Really, it starts late March with the Oregon preview, and it will go all the way till June. Home event after home event. Oregon Twilight on May 9th. Big Ten championships kick off postseason play in the middle of May, and NCAA championships in the middle of June is what's coming up for what is going to be another stellar summer at Hayward Field. Oregon preview March 21st to 22nd. Oregon Open April 18th, 19th. Oregon Team Invitational on April 19th as well. Oregon Twilight May 9th. Big Ten Championships May 16th through 18th. And the NCAAs in their rightful home of Hayward Field from June 11th through 14th. That's what is coming up for Oregon track and field. Mark your calendar. It's just about every other weekend going to be a lot of action on the track for the men and women of Oregon throughout this collegiate season. What's coming up this weekend? Tonight, 6 o'clock, women's basketball against the Hoosiers at MKA. 5:30 pregame with Chris Clayton, Bev Smith. And then tomorrow, 1 o'clock, 12:30 pregame, Joey Mack on the road with Oregon men's basketball against Minnesota. I'll be back here on Monday. We'll break it all down for you. Go Ducks.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought